SRAM, rival, AXS, this shifts everything.
My name's Guy Kestervan. I've been a professional bike and kit tester for nearly 25 years, and this is GuyKes TV, brought to you in association with Giro Cycling UK. And today, the product I'm delighted to be talking to you about is a total game changer in terms of gearing from SRAM. It's affordable wireless shifting with the new SRAM rival AXS wireless group set, and it is absolutely outstanding. Well, it's just outstanding regardless of the fact it's a total bargain. So I'm going to do most of this review as a live ride review just because I want to ride this setup as much as I can. But let's just look at the detailing here. So rival means it's got an alloy crankset rather than carbon like the Force crankset, but you get the fantastic flat top chain technology on this wide range version. You get the wider spacing on the front mech and on the axle, so there's loads of room even with a 45mm tyre in there. You get obviously fully wireless rear mech, you get X-Sync pulley wheels on there, and you get the same hard chrome finish on the cassette, on these 12-speed cassettes as well. Actual eTap axis guts are the same. The motor, the batteries, the gearboxes, the transmitters. You get the same 13-tooth gap between chain rings on double setups, and you get the same number of sequential cogs on the rear cassettes. You get the same teeth profiling as well. So basically, the shifting architecture is exactly the same as Force and Red, and you get all the same X-range gearing options as you do on Force. And you get the 1x ranges, which you can either use with the smaller road cassettes or even go up to an Eagle cassette, so full 1052 setup if you want, because like the other AXS group sets, all of these setups fully compatible across different group sets. So you know, you can add mountain bike dropper post, mountain bike gearing, or you can mix and match across the different component setups of the SRAM AXS ecosystem. You get a metal lever rather than a carbon lever, and you don't get bike point adjust, and you don't get blip satellite shifter compatibility, but that means you get a much slimmer hood profile, which is better for smaller hands, and to be honest, even I found it a better grip as well. And you still get full integration with your head unit, whether that's Garmin or whether it's Wahoo like this one. So you can see you've still got the gearing display there, and if I was riding, you'd have the RPM and you'd have the wattage too. And that's the really big news with Rival, because if you flip it round, not only has it got an oversized dub axle, but inside that axle you've got a Quark power meter. But to be honest, I don't want to go into too much detail on the bike while it's static, because I don't think that's very interesting. And to be fair, a lot of other people have probably filmed it a lot more prettily with better lighting. What I want to do is take you for a ride up the Dales on it and just talk you through just how well this setup rides, because it has properly blown me away. Considering the price difference to standard cabled rival is so minimal, the advantages this setup offers are just phenomenal. So let's head out into Dales.
And the joy of this new rival kit is you're getting pretty much all those massive advantages of AXS, all the app programmable setup, completely wireless communication between your mechs and your shifters, and just those beautiful cable-free looks. Plus, while Force wide range doesn't come with a power meter option, Rival wide range, in fact all the Rival kit, does. And what's interesting, SRAM included a power meter on the bike purely because so many people are now having their first riding experience on Zwift, which is obviously fully power based, which is why they've made sure even this entry-level group gives you some wattage feedback. And just like the rest of the Rival setup, it's super affordable as well. It's an insert in the bottom bracket axle, and all you do is you buy the left-hand offside crank, and that's €260. Or if you buy the full crank set, €360. And Rival comes in all the X-range options, plus you've got 1x, so you've got 4835, 4633, and then what I'm running here, which is 4330, the wide range. And then you've got 1x as well. And then on the back, they've simplified things a little bit, so you've got a 1030 cassette as the smallest, Obviously that's 12 speed, and then a 1036, and that just keeps the gearing really closely spaced and sequential in terms of shifts. And obviously you've got the option to set these AXS shifters up sequential as well, so it's got one lever up, one lever for down, and you can just go into the app and change that round, have it whichever way it suits you. Plus you've got compensating modes, or you can set it up old school, so you do the maths. But frankly, if SRAM are prepared to do the maths for you, I reckon that's the win. And because you've got that AXS syncing onto your head unit, I can even see what gear I'm in, as well as my power, my RPM, and my head unit will also give me low battery updates, as will the AXS app, and that gives you a load of kind of Strava style ride feedback as well. And one of the interesting things is just how bang on this lower wide range gearing is for most of the riding I do, on and off-road. And I've not been on this rival long, but I spent ages on force wide range, and to be honest, I'm in that 32th ring most of the time, even with a 1036 block. So as you can see, it's relatively hilly where I ride, and I like taking the rougher option. So, and that 4310, it can still spin easily well past 50k on towards 60 before you start spinning out. But you've got lower range gears for stickier situations like that. So I just think it's a win-win, especially for, you know, mixed use rather than pure gravel or pure road. And while it's got a simpler spring clutch rather than the orbit damper on the pricier AXS setups, it's still super stable. I've had zero issues with this double chainring setup at either level I've tried it, and I've banged it around, you know. I've lost bottles out of the cages on this bike, but never had an issue with the chain skipping or the gearing going. And everything's IPX7 waterproofed as well, so you can drown it without worrying, whether that's in minging weather or riding through rivers. I've done both. Not blink, well, just that little green blink to tell you it's working. And as you can see, this AXS still works in freezing conditions too. So it wouldn't be a case test if I hadn't put it through the ringer in all weathers, would it? I mean, there are some things you miss out on. You don't get the facility for a little satellite or blip remote add-on levers for other parts of your bars. Hey up, got a bit excited down there. And you don't get bike point adjust on the levers either, but that means they can actually make the levers a bit smaller, so it's a more comfortable grip for smaller hands, and you still get reach adjust. And while the brakes don't get bleeding edge, which is just the kind of one-shot plug-in servicing trick, they still flush through from the far end, so they're really easy to work on. And you get the same two-tone rotors in centre lock or 6-bolt, so it's a fully universal fit. And I think SRAM brakes feel the best out of all the drop bar levers, and again, I've never had any reliability issues with them. Super solid, and you still get that gorgeous looking flat top chain, which is still stronger than a standard chain. Obviously it's 12 speed specific, but only the outer plates get the hard chrome finish, and it comes in sort of packing grease rather than being pre-lubed, just to save a bit of cost. And on the cassette, it's an all steel cog set rather than having one alloy largest cog like you do on Force, but it's still exactly the same hard chrome finish as you get right the way up to SRAM red. And what's, you know, the important thing is the function is pretty much indistinguishable, and you'll be really glad of that wide range setup when your gravel climbs get a bit steep and lumpy. And also, of course, because it's AXS and all the communications electronic, you can team it up with an Eagle rear mech and a 1052 rear cassette if you want. Slave it to a dropper post as well, so you are getting, like I say, apart from the blip buttons, completely full AXS, what SRAM call ecosystem interaction, which just makes it incredibly versatile. And at 1247, I mean, this is going off one by for a simpler comparison, it's only 160 quid different between the AXS version and the wired version. You know, that's ridiculous for the level of technology you're getting. It's just, well, I reckon it's a no-brainer whether you're looking at upgrading or a totally new bike. And this is going to be everywhere if the manufacturers have any sense, and for good reason, because I think it's brilliant in so many ways. And the fact it benefits, I think, newer riders and lasses with smaller hands, or kids, or whoever, you know, it is genuinely much more inclusive, from shifter shape to communication to all the power feedback to the wider gear ranges to the versatility of different setups you can run. It is just makes riding better for so many people and for so much less than you could previously get this technology for. Rival, AXS, AXS, whatever you want to call it, is just a total win as far as I can tell. And obviously it's a little heavier than Force because you've got a solid arm alloy crank and you've got a steel jockey wheel cage on the rear as well, but actually makes it tougher in a lot of ways, certainly in terms of impact or you're travelling abroad. And compared to previous Rival, you're getting a dub bottom bracket, so it's stiffer, plus you're getting all those X-range advantages before you even start talking about the AXS wireless advantages. So again, it's just a massive win. Now, compared to analog shifting, and the shifting is just so good. That double lever tap to get you into the big ring for big licks is just ridiculously smooth, because it's all the same tooth profiling as you've got on top of the range AXS stuff. So there's literally no tangible difference in performance apart from the fact it's a little bit heavier. But when that extra weight gets you more durability, then I reckon happy days for most riders, especially when it's so affordable. And also it looks really, really good. So this double chain ring comes with standard Spider, but one by gets an absolutely gorgeous looking single ring. In fact, probably one of the nicest chain sets around, I'd say. And it still feels plenty stiff underfoot, this alloy setup. And it's not heavy. I mean, yeah, heavier than carbon, but in the grand scheme of alloy stuff, not heavy at all. Definitely a serious performance gain, but also a convenience, data, and despite the fact you're adding electronics, simplicity gain as well. Because when you're setting it up, so simple. Just wake up the master controller, which in this case is the front mech, then it'll alert you to all the other components. Press the button on them, wake up the power meter if you've got it, zero that, and then happy days. Tell you the battery levels, it'll let you sort out your shifting patterns, and you're ready to ride straight away. It really is that simple. The thing is, I know it's got a simpler clutch on it, but it's just ridiculously silent. Whether that's the shifting being so instant, even when it's a front ring shift, and that clutch rear mech, it's just so quiet, which again just makes it feel like such a superb quality setup. There's no trace that you've gone for a lower budget group here. And if you want to ride with a wider set of handlebars like this fine gent here, then you can obviously just pair it with a set of AXS trigger shifters as well. There you go, gratuitous cow shot done. And like I say, there's more than enough gears, even on wide range. I mean, it's 60 clean kilometres an hour now, and I've still got plenty of gear to push against. And as well as putting you in the gearing sweet spot, wide range also means you get more tyre clearance and more frame clearance because of the wider bottom bracket. So there's just no reason, oh hello, not to go for that option, to be honest. Especially if you're mixing up your road work with your single track. Because like I say, you know, the data I've got back off the AXS web ride sort of feedback just shows I'm right in the centre of the gearing range most of the time. And without being rude, I'm a fit lad, so you'd think I'd be topping out on it, but that's totally not the case.
So, hope you've enjoyed this trip through the Dales on the SRAM Rival wide range AXS group set. I couldn't be more positive about my impressions on this. It's absolutely outstanding so far. Shifting, the integration, the simplicity, the ergonomics, the communication, the price. I mean, yeah, it's a bit heavier than Force, but literally on the trail, on the road, the functionality is absolutely flawless. And I even prefer the lever shape. Properly blown away by this setup. It's a proper game changer in terms of next level performance from an entry-level group set. It really has blown me away. So massive thanks to SRAM for providing me with the Stig again, fully outfitted with zip and the latest SRAM gear. There are review videos on those wheels and on the bike, so I'll flag them up at the end. Massive thanks to Giro Cycling UK for sponsoring the channel at the moment. Big thanks to my Patreon subscribers as well, who contribute on a monthly basis to invest in the channel, and they get behind the scenes, extended and exclusive edits as a thank you. But thanks very much for watching yourselves. Please subscribe, please click for notifications so you know when my next video comes out. Hit the thumbs up button so that YouTube know you've enjoyed the footage and they'll share it with more people. But for now, I've been Guy Kestevan on Guykes TV, talking about the truly electrifying SRAM Rival AXS wireless group set.
I was, yeah, I might just hack something to. Whoa, hello. Whoa, that's slippery. That's proper slippery.